At Lifehack Coaching, we help women over 35 to balance hormones naturally, boost metabolism, and lose weight sustainably.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my podcast. And today I have Kasey with me. I've known Kasey for a very long time. How long have I known you?
10 years.
Wow, that's a long time. And our paths always cross in some way or another. And so Kasey came to me 16, 17 weeks ago, 18 weeks ago, because she needed some help. And so we'll talk today about what happens when your body starts to change and when it feels different and you don't know what actually going on. So when Kasey came to me, it wasn't about the weight loss. She came because her blood pressure was very high. She was experiencing anxiety and couldn't figure out what was happening and why. And she was wondering maybe she's in perimenopause, but we hear all the time, you're too young to be there. So she was questioning it, and weight loss was not a focus. But as we know, a lot of health issues come from what we eat, what we do, and environment we're in. So we started to focus on taking care of nutrition and water and sleep and all of that. So what we're going to do today is we'll talk about the reality of navigating hormonal changes, stress, lifestyle, nutrition, also training, and just everything in between. Also, while we were going through the program, Kasey qualified to go to Greece for weightlifting competition. So yay, that's very special. Anyway, hi Kasey. Thank you for being here today. And thank you for allowing me to share your story, because it can be very empowering and encouraging for other women to come forward and also to understand that actually there's nothing wrong with you. It's your hormones, or it's just a stage of life you're going through. And there are things you can do to improve that. Anyway, tell me, before you came to work with me, what was going on with your health? How were you feeling physically, mentally? What was going on?
So before I came to you, I was having trouble with my blood pressure. That was sort of my first warning sign, perhaps, when I look back in retrospect. The other thing, I put it down now to anxiety, and I've never had this before. I would be at work and suddenly I just had this overwhelming feeling to get the hell out of there. And it would usually come on just completely out of the blue if something sort of stressed me out a little bit. And that's when I started looking at my blood pressure. And then I felt like I was going around in circles, like I'm feeling a bit stressed. Is that what's causing my blood pressure? Is this anxiety? I've never had it before in my life, but I just felt like I needed to run away from everything. And so that's when I started going, wait, something's not right. Something's really not right. And then I had blood tests to sort of check my kidneys with my blood pressure. That was also going off. So this was happening the year prior to me meeting up with you at the end of last year. So I had a good 9 to 12 months of these symptoms that came out of the blue.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I remember when I started to experience anxiety, when I had my first panic attack, I honestly didn't even know anything about it. I didn't even realize, like, when I went to hospital and this Asian old doctor told me, like, they thought I was having a heart attack because they've done all the scans and everything because I had all the symptoms. And he was like, you're actually having panic attack. And I'm like, me? Panic attack? Hell no. Like, I thrive in stress. I love being busy and stressed, right?
Same.
And he was like, no, this is the panic attack. And then it's kind of escalated with having this anxiety all the time. And every time I would have that, I'm like, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. I thought every single time, I thought something is wrong. I'm going to pass out. I'm going to get really sick. And the same thing, the feeling of, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. It's like the place was just like, I need to get out.
Yeah.
And that's such a horrible place to be. But until I start focusing on perimenopause and menopause and speaking to women more about the biggest issue they're experiencing, I've realized that most of us go through it. Most of us experiencing anxiety in some way. And we don't even think it's anxiety because we're never used to it. Like, we've never been anxious person.
No, not an anxious person, not a depressive person. I just immediately thought cardiac issues because I was having like what I'd think were little flutters. So I was like, oh, suddenly I've got cardiac problems, arrhythmias. Not even at that time putting the dots together, if you like.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. That's so crazy. And why did you decide to kind of take the holistic approach to it?
Well, because I work in health, I know what's available for anxiety, depression, hormonal treatments. I know what's there. And I guess because I was in the very beginnings, I thought, well, the best way is to understand what's actually happening. I don't want to just go on something. I do understand I may need to. I accept that. But because I'm sort of a year in of what I think is perimenopause, I thought, okay, why don't I talk to someone who has more knowledge in that? And just because I work in health doesn't mean that I have knowledge about it. I kind of want to understand what I'm going through. So my first thought was, let's just find out perhaps there's what I needed to do first. Of course, diet's always a great place to start. So by reaching out to you, I thought, okay, you might have other ideas. And of course you did. You gave me other thoughts, other ways to look at this before perhaps I go down medication, which, like I said, I'm not opposed to, but I still think there's a stepwise, because I've gone into it earlier than maybe the menopause stage, or I'm not like 5 years in. I think I have a really good chance to just take things in a stepwise manner and try and look at other ways of managing things myself.
Yeah. I think it's good now. In the past, if you're in late 30s or 40s and they just go brush you off and go, no, it's too early. It's too early for you to be in, like, there was no even word perimenopause. It was like too early for menopause. Well, yeah, of course it's too early for menopause, but what happens prior to it? Like, how do we get to menopause? We don't suddenly just fine and then we're not fine. Like, there's progression to not fine.
That's right.
And now there's more information about it. So now there's more understanding and there's more support and it's not as lonely anymore. Yeah. So did you even think that there might be start of perimenopause for you?
No, that did not come into play until, a good 8 to 9 months down the track, where I just sort of had thoughts, perhaps this is something I should look into, because like a period, we all get them at different ages. I have friends that got them at 9. I got mine towards 11. So we all have different period cycles. I understand that. Some of us are horrendously heavy. Some of us still have very light ones. So I knew that there would be a variance into when someone might go into perimenopause. And I knew menopause was kind of more like your 40s, mid 40s to late 50s to late 40s you might start. So I knew there might be variables with perimenopause, and that's when I started thinking, okay, because this has sort of come out a little bit out of the blue in terms of what I was thinking, but again, I look back in retrospect, the signs were starting in the year prior. I thought I need to look into this because it's the only thing I could really think of that might be changing at this point in my life. Unless I was completely losing it. And I didn't believe I was losing it because I see women in menopause that are coming in going, hormone treatment saved my life, has saved my marriage, has saved my everything. So I was just open to the fact that this could be where I was heading. My mum had a pituitary gland issue, so her period stopped in her early 30s. So I actually have no idea when perimenopause or menopause would hit from my line of women in my life.
Yeah.
I was just being open-minded, really. Like, yep, this could be happening now. And why don't I look into it some more?
Yeah. So menopause it's a one period in woman's life. So it's when you haven't had your period for 12 months. That's it. Menopause is literally a moment. It's like a thing that just happens just one time. It doesn't happen again. It's like one time. So when you didn't have your period for 12 months on a row, that's it. You're celebrating. You're in menopause. And then you go into postmenopause. Prior to it is perimenopause. And for everyone, it's different. So average age for white woman is 51 for menopause. But if we take example of Indian woman, it's 45. So which means that potentially when I work with Indian clients, I know that if they're experiencing all those symptoms in 35, then they're 100% already in perimenopause. Then we're having different conversations at that stage. So perimenopause can be anywhere. Everyone is different, but it can be anywhere from 8 to 15 years prior to it. And I hear a lot from clients as well. They say, well, my mom said she went through and she was fine. of course she was fine. So we're comparing apples with oranges here, because back then, even like 20, 30 years ago, maybe they didn't work full time, or maybe they didn't have as much run around. Kids pick up, kids drop off. They had bigger village. They didn't have after school activities, before school activities, weekend sports. Like, it wasn't as busy. And that busyness can create stress on the body. And cortisol, the stress hormone, and progesterone are made out of same thing called pregnenolone. And so when we experiencing more stress in our lives, cortisol will be prioritized over progesterone, because we need survival over reproduction. And so then cortisol will steal pregnenolone from progesterone, and so our body produces less progesterone, our calming hormone. And progesterone goes down first in perimenopause before we see reduction of estrogen. And so what happens, we get this mimic of early perimenopause or start of early perimenopause because of stress in our lives right now. And so that's why we see an earlier woman experiencing symptoms of perimenopause in their late 30s, and where in the past it could have been late 40s, because the different lifestyle that we're living in right now, we're experiencing way more stress for social media, for work, for high prices, for the struggles, and just busy lives that fall on us women. So that's why we might see more women coming forward and go, I think I'm on perimenopause, and all the doctors go, too early, because they started when it was too early. But now things are different, so we have to kind of play the part and go, okay, well, what symptoms are we experiencing here? So that's why it's really hard to say when you would go, like, you are in it right now, like you're experiencing all the symptoms. So yeah. Okay. So tell me, as we were going through coaching and nutrition and all that stuff, like, what did you learn? This makes difference. Like, what do you think was the thing that made difference for you that helped you to feel better? Like, what was it?
I think it was a combination of things. For one, and I think this slowly happened over time, where you kind of go, you don't realize it's happening, but you know it. So the first thing was, I slowly had just dropped breakfast off my radar. I was undereating in all areas. So I even didn't have enough protein, didn't have carbs, undereating across the board. I wasn't drinking enough water. And that was really key, I think, for me, because I felt like I had really fluctuating weights at a point in time. Like, one day I could be here, and then another day, and I was like, Once I really started bringing in the water, yes, there were still fluctuations, but nowhere near as big as what they were before. And clarity and mind clarity really started to come back, because I was getting brain fog. Like, what was I doing? Like, I kept saying, everyone, I've got a mind like a sieve. I need to write everything down. Now, don't get me wrong, that's still there, but it's far less. And I've gotten rid of the noise that was there. And I do attribute that to the supplement change that we made, but also just improving my eating just helped get rid of a lot of the symptoms that I was having.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've noticed with you as we were going through it. When you were eating even maintenance calories, and I know it was a lot of calories for you, and your protein was very high, and you were drinking lots of water, your weight was coming off so quick. You didn't even focus on the weight, but the weight was coming off as a result of that. And when you got busy with the competition and prepping and all that stuff, that's when you kind of started to undereat again, and that's when your weight started going back up again. And that was really good indication that, oh my God, like, is this what actually your body needs? Your body needed and wanted higher calories. It wanted more water. And, and then we found the supplements that worked really well for you. You've tried it out and you start feeling better. So yeah, there's lots of things that we can do to improve how we feel before we take in medication route. But of course, in some cases, you need medication. Like, there's no way around that. So yeah, that's really cool. So tell me about your training, what you're training for.
Yeah. So obviously I'm in perimenopausal stage, so I'm not young. I'm a master's weightlifter, and at the beginning of this year, end of last year, I qualified for Masters World Champs in Greece, which is happening in September.
That's so exciting. And so how does it make you feel? What does it do for you?
Well, I did go through a dark space towards the end of last year, where, again, the noise of perimenopause and the heaviness and the multiple things going on felt like I was going nowhere with everything. Family, home, work, training, just changing the way and addressing the perimenopausal symptoms. We're just flowing. Like, I told you I got a bit injured at the beginning of this year. I wouldn't even call
Yep.
it injury. I don't know what it was, but that has not bothered me since. And I think that comes down to good nutrition, good sleep, good water, like all those things that we all know to do subconsciously, but we do need to be held accountable for it. Someone still needs to say, hey, we still need to continue with this, because we just go back into our old patterns. And I think that's a little bit of human nature, but having someone on the outside going, hey, come on, we can do this. My training, this is the best, the strongest I've ever been, actually, to be honest. And I'm perimenopausal. I'm 39. I've had all these issues, but I'm the strongest I've been. I'm recovering the best.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. That's a good lesson for you as well, that, if you want to do well, you need to nourish your body, because if you nourish your body and you put good fuel into it, then it will give you what you need. It will function properly. It will cooperate with you. But if you're not nourishing your body, you're not putting the water in it or good fuel, then it's not going to cooperate, and you are going to feel shit.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Really appreciate you being here today.
Cool. Thank you for having me. It's been awesome.
If you have any questions about this podcast or about hormones, weight loss, or just healthier lifestyle, please go to our website at lifehackcoaching.co.nz, or feel free to email me directly, Anastasia, at lifehackcoaching.co.nz.